courtroom was packed with cameras the day of the wedding. It wasn't a fairy tale setting. No, it was more like a spectacle, a circus of wealth and mockery. Everyone whispered and chuckled as the tall, handsome millionaire, Daniel Cross, stood at the altar with a woman society had cruelly labeled unworthy. Her name was Clara. She was poor, overweight, and had been invisible to the world for most of her life. The guests whispered, "Why her? What's the joke?" But Daniel wore a smirk that explained it all. This marriage was born out of a bet, not love. A cruel dare between rich men who had nothing better to do than toy with another person's dignity. But Clara didn't know. She stood there with her trembling hands clutching the bouquet of borrowed flowers, her wide brown eyes brimming with silent hope. For her, this was the first time someone had chosen her, the first time she wasn't the shadow in the room. She whispered, "I do," with a voice that cracked but carried the weight of her dreams. Daniel, half drunk with arrogance, replied with his, "I do," as his friends in the back laughed under their breath. That day Clara's heart swelled, while Daniel's was empty. Little did he know, this cruel game would unravel his world in ways he never imagined. The beginning of their marriage at first, Daniel treated Clara like furniture in his grand mansion. Something there, but unnoticed. He gave her the guest room, never invited her to dinners, and spent his nights partying with models and socialites. Clara, however, carried a quiet dignity. She would cook meals he never ate, leave kind notes he never read, and pray silently for a husband who would one day see her. But Clara had scars deeper than anyone knew. She had grown up in a small neighborhood where poverty was normal. Her mother worked endless shifts at a laundry shop, and Clara, bullied for her size, learned to find comfort in books instead of people. Marriage, she thought, was her chance to finally belong somewhere. So, despite Daniel's coldness, she poured her heart into the home, filling it with warmth he didn't realize he was missing. The first challenge, a month into their marriage, Daniel threw a lavish party. His friends mocked Clara openly, whispering cruel jokes. One woman sneered, "She doesn't fit in here. Look at her, like a stain on silk." Clara overheard it, her face burning with shame, but she didn't cry in front of them. She simply excused herself and slipped into the kitchen, where she stayed all night, quietly washing dishes while laughter roared in the other room. Later, Daniel stumbled into the kitchen. For the first time, he noticed how tired she looked, her hands red from scrubbing. Something about the sight unsettled him, but he brushed it off. After all, this was just a bet, wasn't it? The turning point, everything changed one evening when Daniel returned from a business trip, furious over a deal that had collapsed. He entered the mansion expecting silence, but instead found Clara in the living room teaching a group of neighborhood kids. They were children from poor families, kids with torn shoes and hungry eyes. Clara had invited them in, giving them food, laughter, and teaching them simple lessons from the books she loved. Daniel stood frozen at the door, watching Clara smile in a way he had never seen before. Her face glowed, her voice was filled with kindness, and the children adored her. For the first time, Daniel realized Clara was more than the cruel label society gave her. She wasn't just poor or fat. She was strong, compassionate, and radiant in her own way. To the hidden strength over the following weeks, Daniel began to notice more. Clara woke up early to volunteer at shelters, shared meals with strangers, and used his wealth, not for herself, but to help others quietly. She had a resilience Daniel didn't understand. While he drowned his pain in luxury and shallow company, Clara carried her pain with grace and turned it into kindness. One night, unable to sleep, Daniel found her on the balcony staring at the stars. He finally asked, "Why do you do all this? Why do you care so much about people who can't give you anything back?" Clara turned to him with soft eyes. "Because I know what it feels like to have nothing. Kindness is the only thing that multiplies when you give it away." Her words cut deeper than she realized. Daniel lay awake that night, haunted by the truth. He had everything but felt empty, while Clara had nothing yet gave the world her heart. The revelation of the bet, but Clara's world shattered when she overheard a conversation she was never meant to hear. Daniel's friends were laughing about the bet again, how he had married her for money and pride, nothing more. Clara froze, her chest tightening as tears filled her eyes. Every tender look, every small kindness she thought she had seen in Daniel, it all felt like a cruel illusion. She packed her small bag that night and left, returning to her old neighborhood. Daniel woke to find her gone, and for the first time panic set in. He searched everywhere, realizing too late how much she had come to mean to him. His mansion felt emptier than ever. To redemption it took weeks, but Daniel finally found Clara at the community center, teaching children again. She refused to look at him, her voice cold for the first time. "You humiliated me. You played with my life." Daniel dropped to his knees, tears in his eyes. The millionaire who once mocked the world was now begging a poor woman for forgiveness. "Clara, I was a fool. I thought it was a game, but you changed me. I don't want the bet, the money, the pride. I just want you. Please, give me another chance to love you the way you deserve." The room fell silent. Clara stared at him, torn between pain and hope. Finally, she whispered, "If you want me, Daniel, then prove it. Not with wealth, not with words. Prove it with your actions. Prove it the transformation," and so he did. Daniel sold one of his companies and used the money to build schools and shelters in Clara's community. He spent his days working alongside her, serving meals, cleaning floors, and teaching children. For the first time in his life he felt alive, not because of money, but because of purpose. Slowly, Clara's heart softened. She saw his sincerity, his transformation. He no longer cared about appearances or society's approval. He cared only about becoming a man worthy of her love. To the inspiring ending years later, people no longer remembered the cruel bet. They remembered the couple who built hope where there was none. Clara, once mocked for her size and poverty, became a symbol of strength and kindness. Daniel, once an arrogant millionaire, became a man humbled by love. And when he stood on a stage years later, speaking at a charity event, he looked at Clara in the crowd and said, "The world told me she wasn't good enough for me. But the truth is, I was never good enough for her. She saved me. Love saved me." The audience wept, but Clara just smiled, the same warm, glowing smile that had once reached even the coldest corners of Daniel's heart.